You are tuned to Kennett Zenith Cablevision. Thank you for watching. It's time for talk. Each evening at this time, Monday through Friday, Rosemary interviews local personalities and others who bring items of interest to this community. Time for Talk is a community betterment service designed to cooperate with our local community betterment program. Tonight, Rosemary takes us by means of portable camera out of our studios and maybe into your neighborhood. And now, it's time for talk.
Let me tell you what's happening on tonight's show. It's Thanksgiving Day, and there are bodies everywhere sleeping. Well, a few of them are up, but anyway, it's 7 o'clock, and we're starting breakfast. And you're in for a treat today. Not that you get to eat the breakfast, but I have my oldest daughter here who is making biscuits from scratch, as she said. She learned from her grandma, not from her mother, but from her grandma Burcham. And we're going to show you the thing, blow by blow, from start to finish, how you do this. And let me introduce you to, and the second daughter will be cutting up a fruit bowl and frying bacon and sausage, and we don't know how many will show up to eat, but they'll eat as long as there's food. Here is Suzzann Casey, graduated here, or a lot of you who are watching remember Suzzann. Who would ever think she would grow up and amount to anything and be able to make biscuits? But it's great. Now, you're measuring right now. Show us the ingredients that you have to do this, and sort of explain it blow by blow for people that may really want to know how to make buttermilk biscuits. Now, they're not light and flaky, are they?
No. In fact, the reason I wanted to find this recipe was because they're a little bit chewy. Just a little bit crusty on the outside and kind of moist on the inside.
And when Mama Burcham died, and Suzzann wanted that big wooden flour bowl that she'd put the lard in and dip it up, but one of the other grandkids got that. But anyway, you just have to make do with my old bowls.
But I do remember what the biscuits tasted like.
Uh-huh.
And I remember Dad would always give me some hints about what it looked like and how she did it. And I knew from one of my aunts that it was self-rising flour and buttermilk and lard. The secret ingredient.
When is the last time you bought a bucket of lard? But she comes often enough that we have lard and we have biscuits always when she's here, so you'll see this.
There's something about it. I've tried Crisco and I've tried real butter, and nothing gets the effect of the crispiness.
Nothing tastes like lard or clogs them arteries like lard.
We use lard about 5 times a year.
Okay.
When we have biscuits. So. I found a recipe from a really old lady. She was real sweet, and she said that she uses, because one of the hardest things for me when I was experimenting was how much lard do you put in to the flour, and I would always make a mistake on the side of too much lard. She said try 2½ cups of self-rising flour and 4 to 5 tablespoons of lard, and then just enough buttermilk to moisten everything. Well, I have liked that proportion, 2½ cups of self-rising flour, but I stick with only 4 tablespoons of lard, and then I just use as much buttermilk as it takes to get the mixture moistened. So I'm going to make 3 batches this morning because we have a lot of people showing up for breakfast. So that's 2nd cup. And I'm going to put 7½ in there, which would be 3 batches. Well, I'm kind of making a mess here, but that's okay because I'm going to be rolling these biscuits out, and I'm going to need this flour. And that's 5. And this will be 6. Okay, so remember, this is self-rising flour and lard, basically. So I believe, if I've counted right, that this is 7. And I'm going to have 1/2 more to go. And that should be plenty for about 10 people that are coming this morning. Of course, we'll have eggs and sausage and bacon and biscuits and fruit, and 8:03 right now, and we have told everyone that I'm going to have these ready at 9. So I have to get busy and get these in the oven by 8:30. Because it takes them sometimes, since I put so many of these pans in the oven at one time, it takes them a little bit longer. I'm probably going to fill up most of these iron skillets.
Did you talk about the iron?
Because, by the way, this is my favorite iron skillet that Mother has. I don't know how old that is, but I love it because it's square and I can get more in there. And if I ever see one of these at a flea market, I'm going to pick one up. But I want the real heavy one. So, I've got to turn the oven on to, let's see, I'm going to use the bottom oven, and I'm going to set it to about 375. Okay, so there's my flour, and I need 3/4 of a cup of lard. That is 4 tablespoons is 1/4 cup. And I need 3 1/4 cups. So I will get, and this is what lard looks like if you've never seen lard. It's just a little bit softer than Crisco, and it is 100% animal fat. So it's not good for you, but many people survived very well on lard their entire lives. Of course, they generally were out plowing the fields and having a lot of physical exercise. I used to make a mistake and put too much lard in there. It's very important that I do not do that, that I keep it to 1/4 cup per batch. So for 3 batches, this looks like a lot. But there's a lot of flour in there. Now, every biscuit maker knows that you've got to get this lard somehow evenly distributed. So I have this wonderful old pastry cutter. Anyway, it cuts down through the lard and just separates it, and then you just sort of do that over and over and over again, and you're going to have little bitty pieces of lard evenly distributed throughout the self-rising flour. I like this one because it has a wooden handle and it's real easy to grasp. The newer ones, it's hard to find. I like working with wooden utensils, especially wooden spoons. I've got it. Mom has one wooden spoon. I can't work without them in my kitchen, but when she comes here, I know where to find that one wooden spoon. But I would wake up later than everybody else at my grandma's house, and so the biscuits would always be cold, but they were still delicious. So right now, I think I've got it pretty well mixed in to where you can't even see that the lard's in there, really. It just looks like a bowl of flour, and that's the way you want it. So now if you can see that, you can pretty much tell that there's no big pieces of lard anywhere, and these little metal things have successfully cut it up so that it sort of just looks like a bowl of flour. But you saw how much lard there is in here, and that's what you want when you're making biscuits. Now I'm going to add buttermilk to moisten it. And I don't know how long it's been sitting, so I'm going to shake it up a little bit. I don't know how much buttermilk to add, but you'll see that I'll stop and stir occasionally just to see how much I do need, because if you get too much in there, when you're rolling those biscuits out, you have got a mess. So there's just an art to watching and adding. I'm not as good at this as most good cooks are. Now while I'm doing this, you know what, I need to be melting some lard, because the coup de grace for this recipe is that each biscuit is dipped in melted lard before it goes into the pan. I can see why it would surprise a lot of people, because it is certainly not politically correct to do that in this day and age. But that is the secret to the very crisp crust on the outside. So that when I bake them, I want that crust to be very dark brown and crispy. Okay, now that's looking right. You see, it's just sticking together. Not too wet, but at least it's sticking together enough to roll out and have that nice and hot over there. I like working in this kitchen because there's all this cabinet space. Exactly designed to roll pastry out, but it's a great spot for it. I never make biscuits at my house. I always make them for maybe the 4th of July or Christmas, or if there's ever any kind of reason when I come home in the summer, because usually there are lots of cousins. As you can see, I am trying to knead this using only as much flour as I need so that it doesn't make the biscuits tough. And I like rolling these out thin because most people in this family like the crispy crust with the thin biscuit. And she, I'm told, an old pet milk can, and that she used it because it was just the right size for her kind of biscuit, the biscuits that she wanted. So I don't have such a wonderful little can that I've kept when it gets to be the right size. I usually go to my mom's cabinet and pick out some kind of glass. Now this is melted lard. This is about 3/4 of a cup, and I'm going to dip each biscuit in there before I put it in these wonderful big skillets. So let me find a glass that I think is going to be the right size. There's no need, of course, to grease the pan in any way, since there is a lot of lard on every biscuit. Well, you can see my sister over there in the background. Her job is the fruit bowl this morning and frying sausage. You have 2 jobs this morning. I'm ready to put these in the oven. And that's going to be for 15. Okay, it's about time for this buzzer to ring, so I'm going to check and see. It's a precarious thing. So I don't want to do anything dumb, like drop these, but you can see that they're nicely browned. As you can see, there's a lot of people needed to do a huge farm breakfast.
And some of us don't really know what we're doing.
This is a highly technical
He has
role
been
that I play.
instructed
Just keep
what to do, and it is looking pretty good.
Oh, you done good. All right, we'll let you eat.
So, and several have already shown up from the other house.
So right here is I'm going to pick out which one of these biscuits I really like. Now this one really looks good right here. Isn't that going to be great? And I love these green peppers. And look at these tomatoes right here. These came out of our garden. Mmm.